Hello and welcome to this Bits Box unboxing video for Halo Fleet Battles. Today we're going to be looking at the new Orion assault carrier for the UNSC. So without further ado, let's crack it open and have a look. We just received these ships, a little bit of a delay by Spartan in the release. So we'll just have a quick look at the contents. We've got a usual token sheet, assembly instructions, and what looks like some small detail parts there. Interesting, this is the first ships we've seen for Halo that have come out with metal parts. One of them seems to have got a little bit bent there, but that's probably just flash actually. We'll have a close look at that in a minute. There's the usual base sprue, 4 of for your 4 Orion assault carriers, and a frigate sprue. This is the medium sprue out of the core and the starter kit, just with the marathon cruiser part cut off. So yep, 12 more Paris frigates. If you've been playing this game for a while as UNSC, I imagine you're probably drowning in these right now, but hey, here's some more. They're useful for wreckage or terrain, that sort of thing. Of course, here's the assault carrier itself, all bundled up in bubble wrap. Or say assault carrier, there should be a few of them in here. Alright, so unceremoniously throw them to the ground. So it looks like I just tidy this up a bit. Looks like these are effectively only 2 parts apart from the detail. So we've got the engines there. I'm presuming that middle engine is what these detailed parts are about. But yeah, we've got the prow of the ship here. Nice smooth lines. Looking at it closely actually, those of you who bought a Punic earlier on in the year or late last year, there's no sign of the stepping issue that many people reported on it. In fact, these are perfectly smooth, and that's not just because of the release agent on it, which you can see glinting there. So I'll try and see if I can get the light to hit it just right to show some detail. Our camera isn't that great. So there's that, and then there's this engine component here, which with a little persuasion, and that's why there's this bit of flash here that's stopping it from getting together fully. You can see it there. But tidying that up, it looks like it got together quite well. Actually, I'll see if I can, I've got a knife here. Hopefully I don't injure myself on camera. I'll see if I can get that flash off in the most horrible, unceremonious way possible. Imagine there's some real model purists bulking it the way I'm doing this, but I can do it neater later. And I've got another free spare there, in case anything goes horribly wrong. So, yeah, a little bit of bending, but these are resin models. We're used to that sort of thing now with resin. So yeah, it's a very nice ship, cuts a nice silhouette. Now to compare it to what's already in the UNSC range, I've got an epoch heavy carrier here, and you can see it's surprisingly only just off the mark in terms of length and breadth. It's quite a big ship actually, a lot bigger than I was expecting. If I grab a marathon cruiser here, for example, much smaller. So yeah, it's quite a nice big model from Spartan. Now, yeah, actually, I'll see if I can get the parts out in a second for the construction, but we'll crack open this pack here, see what's inside. Ooh. I'll try not to knock the camera over during. So, slight readjustment. So we've got the small parts here, I'll just set them there for now. We've got our assembly guide, and yeah, as you can see, it's basically 2-part assembly with, that appears to be a small antenna section. That's the metal part you place on top of the ship. And then there's a small detail section that goes basically around about here where the engine part meets the hull. And instructions for the RCS cruising on the other side, but we'll be going through that in a separate video. So, can see, that's where that little part would go, the resin part, and then right there is where you'd be putting the metal antennas. Though with my experience of antennas on miniatures, it may be a bit delicate, so you may want to be gentle when installing that. Now we've got the stat card here. Quite interesting. We'll be linking the PDF. Spartan released the rules for these ahead of schedule, so we'll be linking that in the description so you can get a better look at this in case it's not great on camera. Now, what do we get in the box? We basically get what we're used to. It's a mirror of what's available to the Marathon. So we've got the Orion assault carrier, the supported carrier, which gets one little frigate friend, the reinforced one that gets two, and then the new combat formation, which gets 3. Now what's quite interesting is that the combat, bear with me a sec, I'll just double check this. No wait, the reinforced version is build rating 4, as is the supported version. So given there's only 15 points difference between the two, if you're planning on fielding a supported Orion, you've got 15 points spare at the end of list building, then that's a pretty good place to put it, because you don't have to remove any ships from your battle group. They've got the same build rating cost. Now, we'll start with the base Orion assault carrier in terms of stats. It's quite middling, 120 points, so interestingly this and the RCS, which we'll again go into in another video, are evenly priced in terms of their points cost. Now what does the Orion bring that we don't quite get yet? Well, it's got better durability than the Marathon. It's got a better first and third damage track. It's 1 higher build rating though, and it's 2 less on the movement. It's got better hangars and much better boarding craft. And I believe the Marathon's only security detail 2, but I might be wrong on that. So don't quote me on that. It does come with a heavy Mac, which gets a quite weedy 6 dice. It is Mac rating 2, but 6 dice is clearly not a firepower platform like the Marathon is, a dedicated gunship practically, or in so much as UNSC ships tend to be. Then there's missile batteries, which 8 dice, that's alright, but it's not great. Now, we've got the carrier action 1, so clearly this is sort of a halfway between the Epoch, which is big, well armoured, and has lots of carrier action, and the Marathon, which has no real carrier ability apart from a couple of hangars and a couple of boarding craft, but is very shooty. This is very much a hybrid of the two. Now, titanium armor of 4 and then a point defense of 4, back that up, that's pretty durable on top of that. And as we go into the other versions, it does go up, so it gets more and more durable as we go, as you'd expect. Hard burn of 3 inches, that's quite nippy, so it can cover 9 inches in turn if it wants to. Now, given you get 4 boarding craft on these, 9-inch hard burn, 12-inch boarding range, that's a 21-inch threat range if you want to put boarding craft on something. That's pretty good given something this durable. And the way I personally see it, they're not going to be firepower platforms by any stretch of the imagination, not with only 6 dice. You're still going to be relying on Marathons for that. They can do carrier action, and to be honest, a couple of carrier action 1 carriers is probably going to be about all you need, or at least all that I've found I need in a game. But still, it does carrier action. But what I think it's really going to excel at is getting a decent amount of boarding craft up the table with, its relative durability and its relative speed. On top of that, I think Spartan delivery platform perhaps. Now we go into the supported, and it's quite simple. We get 1 extra point defense. Let me just double check. We get 1 extra damage track on the first track, and 1 extra dice on each weapon. Oh, and 1 extra security detail. So quite simple. And when we go up to the reinforced, we get 1 extra titanium armor, another damage track on the last track, yet another security detail, and yet more dice. And we'll look at the combat. Finally, this is one I can see myself running. At build rank 5, you could have the combat and say a trident formation. That would put out 12 Mac dice at Mac rating 3, which is a nice follow-up weapon. if your marathons have hammered something but not quite killed it, these could roll in afterwards and finish it off, maybe, if it's on its last damage track. And you'd get 14 missiles on top of that, which is pretty decent, to be fair. It's at least a match for epoch groups, or at least the typical epoch groups people run. So with security detail 6, you're going to be quite good against borders. And again, you're quite fast. With titanium armor 6 though, and point defense 6, that is quite insane. So, titanium armor 6 and a damage track of 875, which is, I believe, about the same as a reinforced CCS battleship. But again, don't quote me on that. I really should have checked stats. I sort of ripped these boxes open and got a bit excited. So yeah, this one I can see. You get this, you put a Spartan on board, you give it maybe even a base of arrowheads if you want to do a little bit more Mac and you're not too fussed about the missiles, and you charge it right up. And you see if it can cause havoc. If it doesn't cause any havoc, you've lost, what, 290 points of your, if it gets taken out, you've lost 290 points of investment. In a large game, that's not too bad actually. If you're playing 500 points plus, it's maybe worth considering alongside a couple of marathon-oriented battle groups. But yeah, that's about it for the assault carrier rules. There's no pack in the box that gives anything like special battle groups for this. And as the combat is build rating 5, you can field it quite merrily in your normal battle groups. So it's quite a simple progression. Basically spend more points and use more build rating to get better ship, aside from these two, which are both build rating 4. So if you've got 15 points, it's a no-brainer. You gain an extra point of titanium armor, an extra damage track on the final number, and extra attack dice, and extra security detail. So yeah, if you got 15 points, that's definitely seeming worthwhile. But yeah, that's a nice new addition to the game, and they've just announced the Valiant Super Heavy Cruiser, which we'll be endeavouring to get quite quickly. There's delays with this order. Hopefully there won't be delays with the next one. We've also got the usual cards. So you've got one combat Orion, interestingly, one reinforced, one supported, two supported, and 2 standard. So only one reinforced and 1 combat. It's a little bit disappointing, but again, there's only 4 ships, so it should be fine. And then the usual token sheets, which if you're drowning in Paris frigates, you're probably drowning in these as well. But for players looking to use these as their first addition to the game, say you've bought the starter set and you want to expand your fleet, I'd say these guys actually seem like a very good addition. I'm quite glad they're not very wings focused or very firepower focused. It's quite interesting to get a ship that seems almost very boarding focused. You see, I'm pretending that this is because I want to show how it's built on camera, but the reality is I kind of want to build these straight away. I'm like a kid at Christmas. So, well, there's going to be plenty of hot water work to get all that to fit in, and yep, get all the there's more flash there. Am I looking at flash? There's going to be much filing down and washing to get things to fit, but that effectively is your that's your mount for your flight peg in there. So that's what that's about. And then obviously the antennae, which I am not going to try and I can't even get these on camera. Let's see if I try and darken it with that. Nope, but yeah, you can see there's not much detail there. It's just 2 little bits of sticky up bits of metal. But yeah, overall, I'm quite pleased with the kit. There's quite a few pictures online of these assembled and look beautiful. But yeah, I'd say in terms of gameplay role, I shall just move the unassembled ones there and try and take a, that very delicate house of cards just came down. In terms of gameplay role, in terms of the model itself, I'd say it's definitely worth looking at. It's arguably a very good first expansion. That's not going to happen. It's arguably a very good first expansion for UNSC Fleet, and well, I'm looking forward to the rest of what Spartan are releasing. Like I said, we'll be seeing the Valiant Heavy Cruiser and the CPV Destroyer coming out next month, or actually this month, end of March. We've got the RCS Cruiser, which we'll be doing another video on today. And we've also got rumours of plenty more coming up in April and beyond. So here's hoping this year's the year of Halo. But that was the Orion Assault Carrier. And thank you for watching. This was Bitsbox. And if you click on, I'll get Craig to work his editing wizardry. If you click on this box, it should hopefully lead you to our unboxing video of the Covenant Armoured Cruiser. See you there.